Go ahead. Turn it up. It's the Record Machine Show with your host, Jimi Holl.
Journey now, while the world is beckoning and strangers call your name. Take what your dreams allow. Every day is awakening, is kindling to the flame. All our memories may serve you as friends. Time's no enemy, 'cause I will be waiting.
And in the end, you will find me here again. If I'm the one you're needing, just send a sign. If you're alone, in my heart you'll find a home, where all your roads are leading, where you belong.
When the tale is told, and beyond imagining, we'll share the life within. Sleep when the fires are cold, and the night is gathering, the prize you could not win. All our memories return in a song. Time is no enemy, as long as you hear
And in the end, you will find me here again. If I'm the one you're needing, just send a sign. If you're alone, in my heart you'll find a home, where all your roads are leading, where you belong in the And in the end, you will find me here again. If I'm the one you need, just send a sign. If you're alone, in my heart you'll find a home, where all your roads are leading, where you belong in the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome from the AURORA Project singer Art Dematteis and keyboardist Brian O'Sullivan to the program. So how you guys doing, man?
We're good.
The last time we spoke on the air was 2018. So what do you guys have been up to with the Aurora Project since 2018?
Wow. Well, first and foremost, on behalf of everybody in the band, we just want to say thank you so very much for your continued interest in our tributes to John Wetton and Asia. And we're so flattered that you think about and to give us an opportunity to come on here again and talk about the continuation of what we do for John and Asia. And we did a third song. Oh God, Brian, my memory is just not what it used to be. Did we do that in 2019 in the end?
I think so. I mean, it was definitely pre-COVID. So,
okay.
If it was 2018 when we talked about the last to know, then it had to have been 2019 for it in the end.
Okay. So that explains it.
I remember Rick saying, "Oh, it's 4 years since the last one." It's like, oh my gosh.
I know exactly what you mean, Brad. And it's so funny because we've been so very blessed to have the support of Asia Management and Yes Management, and we have a direct line to their management, specifically their manager Martin Darville, and that's QEDG Management. And I remember 4 years ago now, I actually was communicating with him via email, and I'm like, hey, is there anything you would like to hear us do on behalf of John and Asia? And the first two choices were off Asia's second album from 1983, Alpha, but is there anything you'd like to hear? And he basically threw a title of from a side project that John Wetton had with Jeffrey Downs, who's the keyboard player from Asia, called Icon. And they did a beautiful song called In the End. And he goes, I think that would be great to hear you and the band do that in your male-female duet format, and also have feel free to put a guitar solo on the outro, and that was kind of really cool because he was giving us free reign to do whatever we wanted in there, and it was a tremendous opportunity, and we were so very blessed to been able to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, that was a really good one too, because it really fit the whole Art and Cat trading lead vocals, because the original was a duet between John Wetton and Annie Haslam.
Absolutely.
Now,
yeah,
let's talk about the band for a minute. Besides Brian and Art, who are the other players? Has there been any lineup changes since the last time we spoke?
No, not at all. It's still myself and Brian, John and Kathy Francis, my buddy from high school, who I'm still in Diver with. That's our high school band.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Rocco, and we have a wonderful drummer that we've been working with since our inception in 2017. Local guy down here in New Jersey named Steve Honoshowsky. I can't tell you how much of an asset he's been with us since the beginning.
Very cool. Now, the band, the Aurora Project, is a tribute to John Wetton. What qualities do you admire most about John?
Go for it, Bri.
Well, obviously the first thing is musically. I know Art and I, we're similar age demographic, and I think when I was 13 or 14 is when the first Asia album came out, and it just hit me where I was. It's like, wow, here's kind of a new band. Okay, I later found out that the members have been around for a while, but it just stood out from the rest of what was current in the whole 82, 83 era. And there's a lot of great music coming out at that point. And Asia just really struck a nerve, and I love songs. And so musically, I was at first. Over time, I've come to really admire John Wetton as a person. And I'll give Art a chance to jump in here, but I'm sure that the discussion will lead on to several points where we can pick up on that further. But both musically and personally, just a lot to admire there.
Unquestionably, and well said, Brian. The music of Asia, back in 1982 with the fantastic debut album. It was so very different than anything else out at the time, and I was fascinated by the fact that you had these four British progressive rock maestros, basically from the mid to late 1970s, all getting together and continuing their progressive rock pedigree, but presenting the music in a more simplified and concise format that was more melodic, more pleasing to the ear, and dare I say, more commercially accessible. But yet they still retained that great musical integrity and the intricacies of their compositions. It was just the perfect package. And yeah, I believe it was Mike Stone who was the producer on the first three Asia albums, and he had a pedigree of working with Journey and Queen and so many big acts. So he just put the perfect polish on everything that they did. And to Brian's point, John Wetton, for me, I guess the first thing that appealed to me was I just love the tonal quality of his voice. He just has such a very emotive and warmth to his voice, and that's something I've always personally been drawn to as a singer. I can admire someone's technical prowess, but I like warm tones in people's voices, and John fit the bill with that. In addition to the fact that he's a tremendous bass player and he's an absolutely phenomenal lyricist. His lyrics are always emotionally charged and introspective, and you can always find shreds of yourself in everything that he writes where you can really, really relate to it. You know, I hope I didn't ramble too much with that, but that's in a nutshell how I feel about John.
Awesome. Now, this podcast will feature two tracks that you recorded in tribute to John Wetton, Forever and In the End. Now, you gave the story about In the End before, but what made you want to record Forever?
Go for it, Bri. You wanna kick this one off?
Yeah, this is one that kind of came to us all as a very pleasant surprise.
To say the least, right?
And another chance to say thanks to another friend of the band. That's Rick Nelson. Rick was actually John Wetton's stage for a number of years. Took everything, cars and his monitors and things like that. And we'd all kind of another tangent here, but all the members of the Aurora Project, at least Art, John, Cat, and I, we all kind of met during the reunion years of the original Asia. So like somewhere around 2007, 2008, kind of, I guess, when we all kind of started crossing paths. But and Asia would play a lot of shows in the Jersey, Philly, New York area, and so we had a lot of opportunities to catch multiple shows each tour, and so you start bumping into the same people, and we would do some meet and greets, and sometimes we would just kind of hang around outside the venue, hoping maybe run into one of the band members, and we started crossing paths with Rick, and so that began kind of a longer term friendship. But earlier this year, Rick kind of out of the blue says, "Hey guys, we've got this demo song called Forever that John had written with Sue Schifrin back in the late 80s. And we're going to put that original demo on a box set that's going to come out later in the year. But, he and Martin thought it would be kind of cool to have the Aurora Project do our own arrangement of it and give it the Aurora treatment." So that's how it started.
Very cool.
Absolutely. Came out of the blue. Just out of the blue. I mean, we were kind of on sabbatical, and Rick just sent me the email, and he just said, "Hey, how would you feel about doing this, guys?" And I presented it to everybody else, and it was a resounding yes. I remember, we've got everybody is pretty spread out. Brian's down in Delaware. John and Kathy are in northern New Jersey, and Eric, my buddy, he's about 3.5, 4 hours away in Massachusetts. So we put it together quickly, and we did a live Skype one afternoon, and we spoke for about a half hour, 40 minutes, and just said, "Okay, this is what we're going to do. Everybody's on board, and let's get to it." It was just a matter of orchestrating the right time to get everything together. And to Brian's point, it's the Aurora Project treatment is I'm very proud of the fact that we do something that you don't really see too very much anymore. And you don't see a lot of male-female duets in bands anymore. So that's kind of our calling card, is to do every song that we do in a male-female duet style.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it suits us really, really well because it's very unique.
It works well. It really does.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Frank had a great, so they I think their styles complement each other well.
Good chemistry there.
Yep.
If my memory serves me right, you guys met John and Kathy at a Asia tribute convention or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So if we go back to 2006, that was the first Asia reunion tour. They were like early in that year, they made the announcement they were getting back together. And I remember thinking, oh, wow, it hit my radar screen. Well, this is going to be interesting. I mean, at that point in time, I hadn't thought about Asia in a long time. I mean, they were always one of my favorite bands, but I just kind of assumed, it was great. They had a great run while it lasted, and I'll listen to them every now and then, but never expected to get back together. So actually, when they announced the tour dates, the closest show that was going to come by me was up in New York City. And I don't go up to New York often, but one of my best friends from high school, and actually one of my first bandmates, living in Manhattan. So we made plans to go see one of the shows at Times Square. And it was phenomenal. They played the whole first album. They played a couple other cuts. They played, one song each from their, from ELP and King Crimson and Buggles and Yes. And so, suddenly I'm riding this Asia high again. And I start, searching the internet, see what's going on. I found there's this Asia fan forum run by fans of the band. And one of the first things I see on there is a post from Kat saying, husband and I we're kind of a husband-wife singer duo. It's kind of a crazy idea, but would anybody out there be interested in starting an Asia tribute band? And I thought about it for a couple of days, and I was like, you know what? I haven't done anything musically outside of my basement in a long time. About 2 hours away, but you know what? It doesn't hurt to explore and see what happens. And so that's, I think we made contact like in October of 2006. It wasn't until like later that winter when we first started getting together. But three of us and a friend of theirs, named John Torhan, came in on drums, and over a couple months, we pretty much learned most of the first two albums, and that we never could find a guitarist to fit the bill. Or to complete the band. Mm-hmm. So we never actually played out as an Asia band, but we did end up kind of staying, by that point in time, if I think there's just a natural bond that develops between musicians who are like-minded and have compatible personalities and just enjoy making music together. Mm-hmm. Decided to, stay together as kind of a classic rock cover.
And it's really, it's really cool you say that, Brian, because that segues perfectly into the Aurora Project, because on one of those fan forums, I think that's where I met you, Brian, or I had a familiarity with you. And
John Wetton's.
John Wetton's guest book. And, I think I spoke to John and Kathy on there, and I met them. I believe it was at the second show of the original reunion tour in 2006. Diane got me tickets when they played Caesars down in Atlantic City.
Yeah.
So we agreed to meet down there, and I introduced myself to John and Kathy, and we started talking. And then I know this is going to sound really corny, but I said, well, why don't we just sing something right now and see how it sounds? And I remember the three of us broke into the chorus of the first tribute song we ever did, Never in a Million Years. And I remember everybody around us just like stopped and like looked at us like, what are these people doing? So I don't know if I ever told you that, Brian, but the one thing,
fantastic.
But the one thing I took away from that is I'm like, that sounded really, really good. And I've never played a note with these people. And to what Brian said earlier about chemistry and being in the same age bracket and similar tastes in music, I said to myself, I'm like, my buddy Eric, who I do Diver with, has similar tastes as well. Always love. He's the one who originally got me into Asia. I was like, how would it be if we did something collectively and we just put the two bands together and we did something. I just always had a premonition that it's the right people, it's the right chemistry, it's just the right makeup. I think this could be pretty cool. And lo and behold, we ended up doing that first song, and it was one of the most coolest, spontaneous things I've ever done. And everything, as I just had a premonition for, everything just clicked. Just clicked. And I was like, yeah, this is cool.
Well, about 10 years to get to that point.
Well, yeah. You know what? We talked about it for so long, Brian. I think we talked about it for 10, 11 years. And then unfortunately, with John's untimely passing, I think that was the gauntlet being thrown down. And it's like, okay, it's time to do this now, you know?
Exactly. It was kind of a wake-up call, I guess, that, you know what? None of us are here forever. So
Very true.
Let's make it happen.
Very true.
Now,
Very, very true.
have you guys, besides John and Kathy, have you run into any other bands or artists who share the same passion for John Wetton as you do? And if so, would you ever consider maybe putting together an album and feature individual artists as well as yourself with the songs that you've recorded in tribute to John Wetton?
That's an interesting question. The only thing... Go ahead, Brian, sorry.
I was going to say, you know, Art and I mentioned John Wetton's guest book. So John Wetton had a website for a number of years, and a woman named Kim Dancha used to be his webmaster, and she had actually done the first biography about John back in the, I think it was the late 90s when it was published.
Yeah, my own time.
But a feature of that website is it had this little, you know, what John called his guest book, and basically it was a forum. But you know, I didn't find out about it until 2006 when you know, Asia got back together. But it had been around for a number of years, and so there was already a you know, international group of John Wetton fans who kind of got to know each other. And one of the very nice features about it is there was a very special guest on there who went by the name of Johan.
Yeah, it's so true.
And after a few months of kind of reading and starting to dip my toe into the water and interact with people, I come to realize Johan was actually John Wetton.
Funny story.
And how cool is that?
That is cool.
You know, so first we're getting all these interactions with fans, you know, and of course everyone, for a number of years, it was so exciting because, you know, first we're talking about the tour, the first tour, and then, you know, we're talking about the each new Asia album as it came out. And but John would you know, respond to questions directly and in his very characteristic and you know, sometimes sophisticated and sometimes very humorous,
Witty.
his way. But you know, I think there's probably still today at least a few dozen people who now I'll keep in touch either through email or Facebook, but we became friends. Many of us have still never met in person, but you know, really developed really deep friendships, all because of our mutual interest in John as a person and his music.
And that's so great that music can continue to bring people together in such a format. You know, I think that's one of the magic of music, and especially in shared likes of specific artists. You feel that organic bond, so to speak, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I can give you two examples. So where I actually was able to arrange a meetup, because that kind of became a thing. You know, it's like I know they're like, you know, I have a good friend, Kim Wilson, who I first met online, and John and Kat and I were going to go see Asia play at Penn's Peak in Jim Thorpe, Pennsylvania, and Kim and her sister were going to come to the show, and so we all met up pre-show and hung out and had a good time, you know, getting to know each other personally. And then a number of years later, Kim ended up moving down to the Eastern Shore of Maryland, which is my neck of the woods, and so we started, you know, whenever Asia or John was coming through town, like the UK, you know, we would get together and share the ride, and you know, became much closer friends because of that. Mm-hmm. When my youngest son was starting to look at colleges, I remember we were going to go look at some colleges down in the Tennessee area, and another one of our friends from the guest book lived in Nashville, and he's like, hey, let's meet up for dinner. So we did that, and it's just great. There's and I know there are other guest book members who are not in the Aurora Project circle, but had similar meetups over the years. And I remember the second to last time I actually got to see John was on the Gravitas tour. I always felt like, man, there's so much I want to tell him, but you only get so much time in a meet and greet, and you don't want to turn into the stereotypical and pathetic fawning fanboy. So I taken time to just type up, some thoughts, and I typed it because my handwriting's horrible, and just wrote a nice, note saying, hey, I just want to let you know how much your music has meant to me over the years, and also I admire you for, all he had done to overcome his problems with alcohol, and how he had turned the focus of his life towards really kind of trying to repair bridges that he had helped to burn over years. And
how awesome is that?
And also, it's like, look, I don't know if you know how big, how many friendships have formed, all because we love your music.
Totally. And
so we had a little meet and greet, and by that point in time, he recognized who it was, and he said, he waved hello, and he said, you're Brian, right? And I was like, yeah. He says, oh, good to see you again. And we paused for a picture, and then I shook his hand, and then I said, here, I've got this for you. Maybe you can read it later. And I just gave him the letter and didn't think anything else of it. And, there were probably about 15 of us. Usually the meet and greets were kind of small.
Mm-hmm.
And so, John and I think Carl and Sam were out that night. And so, it was time for them to go back and get ready for the show. And so I'm talking with the other guys, the other fans from the meet and greet. And then one of them says, hey, Brian. And he points, and here John had come back out, and he was gesturing for me to come over, and he just held out his hands, and he says, thank you so much for your letter. It means a lot. And, shook my hand, and I was like, oh my gosh, you read it already? And
how awesome is that?
That's cool.
So it was really cool. It was just another point that really showed how much of a gentleman and how much he appreciated his fans. I've heard other people say that, he had, like all of us, we're all flawed human beings, and
unquestionable,
all of us have bad days. And I also kind of got the sense that John was probably, might have been a little bit more on the introverted side, which seems kind of not what you would expect for a lead singer, but, it's like he, but didn't really have time for, if things were awkward, then okay, I'd rather go read a book or, do something on my own. So I kind of got that sense from some of the times I met him with the meet and greets. And so, but for him to take the extra time to come out and first of all, even take the time to read what I wrote, but then to let me know that it touched him really, really meant a lot to me. And it's definitely a moment I'll never forget.
They never meet your heroes, but trust me, when it came to John Wetton, you wanted to meet John. You really did, because he was a very sincere, deeply emotional person. And Brian's story is just absolutely remarkable. You wish most artists were like that. I know there probably are some, but, but when it came to John Wetton, there was just such a sincerity to everything he said and did, and that's a perfect example. What a great story, Bri.
Totally
Thanks.
great. That is a great story. Totally awesome that he really took the time out to read it, and then thank you for it. You probably touched him as much as he's touched you over the years,
No, it's a nice thought.
No question.
You never know what's in somebody's head. You know what I mean? Probably
Yeah, that's true.
Could have meant a lot to him.
It's the truth.
So now you guys have had several music videos over the years for the Aurora Project. Never in a Million Years, The Last to Know, Forever, and In the End. Do you guys enjoy shooting the music video as much as recording the songs?
I would say unequivocally yes. And to your point, Jimmy, the one thing that made this particular song different is there was a video production studio and facility literally like 5 or 10 minutes from where John and Kathy live up north. And after we had our initial Skype meeting about what we were going to do in the studio. We're like, you know what? Let's just for the heck of it go over there and check out the studio. So I think it was John and Kat and Brian and Rick went over there and checked it out and came to the conclusion that, hey, you know what? Instead of self-shooting like we did for the first 3 videos down at Retro Media Sound Studios in Red Bank, which is where we typically record, why don't we do a pro shot video for this? So, I mean, since the early days of MTV, I know I can speak for everyone when I say this, we have all probably dreamed of doing something like this. And to Brian's point earlier in the conversation, we're not getting any younger, and let's just do it. So after the audio recording was completed in Red Bank, we made an appointment up there at this phenomenal place called Alpha Wave Studios, and we spent the entire day of it was Friday, I believe it was July 21st, and it was, I would have to say, an experience of a lifetime. And we got a small taste of what it must be like to actually record something for major release, whether it be on MTV or VH1 or anything. And I remember at the very end, we all went out to dinner afterwards, and John sat down and he just went, wow, man, he goes, that was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be. So we were exhausted at the end of the day. But it was a fun, healthy exhaustion. It was just such a high, and
They the one production too. I mean, it really, it's like, wow.
The more you watch it, and the interesting thing also about it is you know, we're miming to the audio track, but everyone is really playing. I mean, John, Eric, Brian, myself, Kathy, Steve, we are all playing along with that song. And I really think that we captured the energy and the sincerity of the performance, because you had to be up for every single take. There was no, this one I'm going to take it easy. It's like, no, you got to be full throttle every single time they say action. And that translated into exhaustion at the end of the day, but in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like you guys were having a ton of fun in those videos.
Oh, it was awesome. Absolutely. And they let us do our own thing. They just said, let's just roll. And I don't think you can ever discount chemistry. I just really feel like everyone was really, really, truly locked into that song and that performance. And I think there's a tremendous amount of energy and sincerity to it. And I think that really comes across when you watch it.
Mm-hmm. Now, you guys got those 4 singles under your belt. Why not release an Aurora Project EP?
That's been discussed. That's been discussed. No tentative plans at the moment, but that has been discussed.
Besides the Aurora Project, are you guys doing anything with Diver, and is John and Kathy doing anything with Catalyst at the moment?
I don't foresee anything immediately on the Diver end. I mean, I would like to do something if schedules allow by the end of the year. Who knows? Maybe we'll even do a second Christmas song. You know, the sentimental idiot that I am, I love doing stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if John and Kat have any dates out there. I know that was discussed briefly, a conversation we had couple weeks back. So, but I don't know exactly what the status of that is at the moment.
Yeah, you guys should definitely do an EP. I think it would do well with those 4 songs on there.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
What would you call it? Forever?
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say that. I was the one kind of responsible for naming the band. So when the EP thing, you know, came up, I was like, well, I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? I named the band. I'm going to let other people name the album.
Yeah.
Well,
you guys could still do an EP without actually pressing it too. I mean, if you start a Bandcamp page, you can sell a digital download EP on there, and there's no overhead in that area. People would pay to download the EP off the Bandcamp page.
You know, that's interesting, Jimmy. I don't know what the legalities of that are. Since it's not our songs, it's not our music. It's just basically our interpretation of the original artist, being Asia John Wetton Icon.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'd have to pay a fee, I believe, for each song that you record. Interesting.
I mean, we did briefly discuss something during the summer that we would love to do, perhaps for charity, and that is to get in touch with Martin from the management company and be like, hey, listen, you know, since these aren't our songs and they're just our rendition of them, you know, perhaps maybe you guys can look to package something together and sell it and have the proceeds go to colon cancer research, which is unfortunately the pathology that actually took John back in 2017. So I remember we brought that up to Rick, and he's like, I think that's a really good idea. We should perhaps look into doing something like that in the immediate future.
Yeah, it sounds like a plan. Now, do you guys have a website that you'd like to promote?
Yes, we do. We are actually on Facebook. We are actually on Twitter. Okay. And we also do have a I don't access this as much as perhaps I should, but there's another website called Number One Music. It's actually n1m.com/the AURORA Project. And all of our information is on there as well for the public to look at and to go through just some of our history and some of our postings and our songs that we have posted on there as well.
Nice. Now, is there anything you'd like to mention that we didn't talk about tonight?
Ooh,
yep. I had a couple things from my notes here. So Art mentioned that we do most of our recording at Retro Media Sound Studios up in Red Bank. But I don't think we give Adam a shout out. So I definitely want to give Adam a shout out because he does a fantastic job.
So absolutely.
Just, you know, it's amazing how quickly we're able to get stuff down, and then watching him work Pro Tools is like, dude, I thought I was pretty good with the computer. You're like a madman in there. But it's fantastic on you know, recording and mixing it. And then another shout out for Rick Nelson, because not only did he help with the last two videos, but he really played the role of a producer for both and Forever. A lot of his ideas led to the development of the arrangement of the song and certain features that we focused on. And it was really cool because we were actually talking during the video shoot because Art, when you guys were up in Red Bank laying down all the vocals, you know, he sends me a text message, Brian, can you call when you get a chance? And he says, I forgot I had an idea for a little, you know, synth melody to pop in here and there. And so we traded messages back and forth. You know, he kind of hummed a little bit and kind of told me what he's looking for. And then I recorded it and then emailed it off to him. And he's like, maybe a little bit more in this direction. And, you know, over the course of an hour and a half, we got it.
That's awesome.
It'll, you know, have Adam fly it in and final mix. But it was a lot of fun working with him because of course, you know, I don't know John personally, but he was a huge John Wetton and Asia fan. I mean, I think he probably knows more about John's catalog than any of us or all of us put together.
No doubt. I think he's the official archivist for the band, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, his input was invaluable in this.
Yeah, but he understands the music so well and was able to come up with some great arranging ideas and, you know, as well as a lot of the video editing. So it was a lot of fun working with him, and we definitely appreciate all that he brought to the table.
Unquestionably, and everybody worked really hard on this. But I want to give a special shout out to John and Kathy Francis. They put in such an exorbitant amount of extra time into all of this, between late night recording at their home to sitting, you know, next to the folks and the engineers and editors up at Alpha Wave Studios. up by where they live for countless hours, trying to get this, final edit done and to get it streamlined. So again, not only are they bandmates, they're tremendous people, love them, they're friends, and I can't say enough about the amount of time and effort that they put in to making this thing be such a success that it's been.
Yeah, they're awesome. I met them at your 50th birthday party, and we sat next to them at the same table. Such great
That's right.
people.
I remember. Yep, we put you there with them. Absolutely. And another shout out to Steve Honoshowsky, our man behind the kit, and my right hand man Eric Rocco, who's been so cooperative and supportive of everything. 11 years ago, I said to him, I'm like, hey man, I met these really good people. They're really cool. They're all talented. And I just have a gut feeling that if we did something together, this would be really good. And he's like, all right, yeah, cool, great. Let's do it. So he took a leap of faith. So shout out to my man, Eric Rocco, as well for coming on this journey for me and for this being such a fulfilling thing for everybody involved.
Yeah, well, guys, every time I hear you guys put out a song, you top the last one. You always do a great job, and I really
thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to hearing more stuff from you guys.
Yeah, I would love to. I think we need a little break, a little sabbatical right now because it's been a lot of work, but I hope that we can definitely get back into the studio and do something again sometime in the future in tribute to John and to Asia, because they've been so much a part of our musical lives.
Yeah.
Get that
I'll
EP out.
Say never again, right, Art?
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better, Brian.
Well, I want to thank both of you guys for coming on the show tonight. I really dig your stuff, and I'm looking forward to hear more great stuff from you guys in the future. And let's not wait so long to chat next time.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely. And again, Jimmy, on behalf of everybody in the band and everybody involved, a sincerest thank you to you for taking such an interest in us and for giving us this opportunity to get on and talk about our tributes to John, Wetton, and Asia. It means so very much to all of us. Anytime,
man. I love you guys. Anytime.
Right back at you.
All right.
One more note, if we could, real quick.
Sure.
So, Art and I shared some of our interactions with John, but I'd like to recommend if anyone who's listening wants to know more about John or get to know more about what he was like. His wife, Lisa, recently did a project to pull together a kind of biography of sorts. It's not your traditional biography where it's kind of like, tracing John's life from boyhood all the way up. It's really a series of interviews.
It's great.
John knew over the years, and some of those people did know him as a boyhood friend. I think they talked to just about every bandmate he ever worked with, from his teenage years through family, through King Crimson in UK and Asia, and Roxy Music, Uriah Heep, all the projects he was involved with. And when I got the book, when I pre-ordered it, when it arrived in late August, I took about a week to read it. I really wanted to read it cover to cover, but it's like, no, I'm going to read, half hour at a time and try to absorb it. And it was just very, not only was it informative, but it also just kind of reinforced a lot of the, my own thoughts about, what I learned about John and what kind of was, and very fitting tribute. And I think a great way to remember this man, musician we admired so much.
Yeah, it's called an Extraordinary Life, and it's on Rocket 88 Books. You can find that online. And to segue one last thing, what Brian was talking about too earlier, there's also going to be a box set being released of his entire solo catalog.
Wow.
Some stuff is going to be remastered. There's going to be some additional tracks. There's going to be some never before heard songs. One of them, of course, is Forever with he and Sue Schifrin. And that's going to be coming out, I believe, on the 24th of November. I think it's 8 CDs. It's going to have a book. So we're really looking forward to seeing that. And that's really going to be a wonderful testament to John's legacy of work as a solo artist.
Yeah, looking forward to that so much.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm going to have to check that out. That would make a good Christmas gift for somebody who's a Asia fan.
That's right. Hint, hint.
All right, guys. Well, like I said, I appreciate your time. I love you guys. I think you're great. I love John and Kat as well. And I can't wait to hear some more great stuff from you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you again, brother. Listen, continue good health, happiness to you and the wife and everyone.
All right. Thanks, brother. You guys take care, all right?
Take care. Talk soon, Bri.
Yep. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Nobody's light could ever blind me. Don't understand what's going on. I feel like I was struck by lightning. Stop me dead in my tracks. Now there's no turning back.
I ought to trust my better judgment and let my heart rule my head. Oh yeah, yeah. Deep down I know this time is different. And for once I believe what I want to believe. This night is gonna
Record Machine Show is a weekly radio podcast produced by Jimi Holl Productions. All rights reserved. For information regarding distribution or adding this podcast to your website, please visit our contact page at therecordmachineshow.com to submit your request. Thanks for listening. See you next time on The Record Machine Show.
The Record Machine Show.